Hey guys, good morning and welcome to the homestead. So it's September, near the end of September. We've been pretty quiet lately. Just had a lot going on. It's been a short summer. We've got a lot done on the Dodge. We had a bunch of get-togethers here, had a bunch of garden stuff going on. Just kind of enjoying the summer, I guess you'd say. So we've been a little lax on our videos. One of the things we wanted to do is I wanted to bring you back up to the speed on the Dodge. I don't really even know what we've done for videos at this point without going back and watching them myself, or what you've seen, what we've done. It is done. The paint is completely done. We got the hood back. I feel like the last time you saw it, we might not have had the hood yet. We got our body molding on. We've got the front bumper put the best we can fit it for what it is. It's an aftermarket bumper. We did put a pack brake, exhaust brake on, so when we're hauling the camper, you know, we got a little extra braking. That actually works amazing. I kind of regret that I haven't done it before now. It works so well. There's a little air compressor that goes under the hood, and you know, the exhaust brake is a big butterfly in the exhaust pipe. There's an air tank, so now we have onboard air. If we want to blow up a tire or something, we can do that. Yeah, I can't think. Oh, we put the Thurin track bar. So those of you that know the second gen Dodge, they have a track bar that holds the front end straight under the truck. So if the track bar is in there, you can grab the truck and move it back and forth, and the axle will stay put because they're just coil springs. And the Dodge second gen has a ball joint that sticks up kind of like this, and the track bar comes down to the other side on the passenger side on the front end. And that ball joint gets pulled not necessarily side to side, but up and down. And they wear really quickly, and even a brand new one will feel like it's got a little bit of play in it. And what I mean by that is, like, if the road tips or something, the truck will tend to want to go the way the road tips. And when you go to chase it, it almost turns the wrong way for a second, it feels like, and then it takes off. Thurin Engineering makes this track bar kit. It's a big bracket that goes on the frame. There's a Heim joint, there's a bushing, just real high quality stuff. We put that on probably 1,000 miles ago, I'm guessing. And real happy with that. The steering is like super touchy, and I don't mean touchy in a bad way, but like, you know, if you just turn the wheel a little bit, it actually goes the way you turn the wheel. So that made a huge difference in the handling. What else have we done to it? Basically just gone through it. I mean, we've made sure everything is right. We've got, we talked about the exhaust brake, we talked about the paint, all the windows are done. We had a leak on Sue's side. We were going somewhere, and Sue complained that the floor was soaking wet. Well, on these Dodge second gens, the heater box where the air conditioning condenser is, has a round tube that sticks straight out to the firewall like that, straight out. And there's a hole in the metal firewall. There's a little piece of foam behind it that's supposed to keep the water from coming back in. So as you can imagine, a pipe that sticks straight out that has water running out of it, when you do it at 60 miles an hour, the water runs right back to the pipe and comes in the hole. So we caulked around that, and then we put a clear tube on that tube and hung it down on the frame, and that has dried up the floor on Sue's side. That fixed that perfectly. We had another problem with the air conditioner. Again, with the air conditioner, it was freezing up solid. Like, if you'd looked at the bottom of the heater box in the truck, it'd be covered in ice, and the lines were all froze up, and we weren't getting any cooling to speak of. And it turns out the low pressure switch is actually what they call a compressor cycle switch on these Dodges. So when you're not using all of the air conditioning and you're not absorbing all of that heat, coolness out of the condenser, the pressure starts to build on the high side and drop on the low side. And before it freezes up, that cycle switch sees that and stops the air compressor. That's why when the air conditioning is on like a lower speed, you'll hear it cycle, click, 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 you know, that compressor. So we replaced that. That fixed that. Air conditioning works great now. That also kind of led me to understand why you don't want to overcharge an air conditioning system, because that cycle switch is what actually cycles the compressor. And if you overcharge it a little bit, that cycle switch doesn't, you know, the pressure doesn't drop to cycle it quick enough, and then the lines freeze. And you don't have any air conditioning. Other than that, you know, it's been pretty non-eventful. We got our TST tire monitor back. You guys might have seen that video. We had a lot of nuisance tripping on it. We sent it out. They got that back. It's been running in the truck. We've actually mounted it. I don't know if you guys can see it, but Sue can take you in there. But we actually used some 3M double-sided Velcro, mounted it right to the dash out of the way. so it's not in the sun, and it just lives in there now. So it comes on anytime the truck is running and gets shut off anytime the truck is not running. We got our fuel tank back in and ready to go south, which is another video. We'll bring you up to speed on what our plans are. But we go to Florida for the winter. We homestead in Florida in the winter. We've got some big gardens down there. Sue's got watermelons growing, we found out the other day. Our potatoes didn't do so great over the summer, but I think it's a lack of water. One of the things we're going to do, what you guys will see when we get down there, is we really want to get some automatic watering up on Sue's raised beds down there so that we don't have to remember to water it every day. That's kind of exciting. And we got some plans for next summer that we'll tell you in the next video. But we kind of wanted to bring you back and go over Dodge and tell you what we've done to it. Tell you what's left to do to it. I'm not really sure there's much left to do to it. We would like to clean up the interior a little bit more at some point. Sue's going to try her hand at making me a new headliner. The fueling, I feel like we might still have a little too much fuel. I don't know if there's any such thing as too much power, but I feel like we may still be there just a little bit. We've been pulling a little bit of fuel out of it now and then when we drive it. We're going to see how the camper tows when we go south, and then we're going to make some decisions from there. The other reason we haven't gone any farther, and I'm going to sneeze, so bear with me. Maybe I'm not. Guys, I can't sneeze when you're watching me. All right, I'm fine. So the other reason we haven't gone any farther in defueling is because we still have the 410 gears in here, and I'm not sold on the 410s just yet. The truck is pretty slow. I would say that 70 miles an hour, she's pretty well topped out without turning a ton of RPMs. So I'm really thinking that when we get to Florida, I'm probably going to want to put my 355s back in, which is going to change the habit of the fueling a little bit, and we'll have to finish it then. So that's another problem for another day. It's not really a problem, but that's another thing to finish. Everything else, I think we're in really good shape. Tires are still in pretty good shape. They've got about 40,000 miles on them. We are going to keep our eyes open for a set of rims down south this year because a couple of these are pretty rusted on the backside. Other than that, I think we're just going to drive the thing. We're going to keep our eyes open for a transmission because this transmission has at least 200,000 miles on it. The clutch has 75,000 on it, so we're knocking on wood. I don't have it in my head. We're knocking on wood the clutch is going to be good for this next trip. But once we find a transmission, I will rebuild that transmission. I'll buy a new clutch and I'll put them both in at the same time and keep this one as a spare, so I have a spare transmission if I ever have a problem. We did put the new injection pump on. I don't know if you guys saw that. I can pop the hood and show you around real quick, but I know this video is getting a little long already. So you guys may or may not have seen any videos. I don't think we showed videos, but we put a new head on it. We got a power-driven diesel ported towing head. We put the vented valve covers on it. They come off a International Combine, I believe. Cummins made an engine for that. These come off that. They vent a lot better. We put this power-driven diesel tappet cover on the side, and we put a new injection pump on. We bought a parts truck that had a brand new injection pump. We had it evaluated by our local diesel shop, and we stuck that on there.
And you took off the giant red thing.
We did. So there's a story there, but the Banks twin ram or twin turbo, I don't remember what they called it. It has the twin inputs. It's really hard to put off and on. Like this air horn on the Dodge, it's 5 10mm bolts and you can lift it off. The Banks one has 2 of these and they're long bolts and everything's hard to line up. So I took it off because I was taking the fuel lines off and on every day for about 2 weeks, driving Sue completely nuts while I was changing delivery valves, playing around, trying to find the exact right fueling that I wanted. So I went back to this. That being said, I have a plan for the Banks to convert some of the bolts to studs, so all the heater grids and everything stay in place and I can drop it back on as I want and go back to it, because I do think it is a little better, because as you can see, this one drops right in between cylinder 2 and 3, and the Banks evens it out and you get probably better airflow. But yeah, other than that, everything under here is new head, new head gasket, of course. Went right through that. Here's the air compressor down in here for the pack brake, and then our air fitting is over here, so we can plug in an air hose to blow up our tires. We did put a boost elbow on it, and we're starting to turn the boost up a little bit. Now that we've got everything done, we're up to around 30 psi right now, and that seems to be where we want to land. Everything's good. So I think we're just going to drive the old girl. I think we're going to drive it and drive it and drive it. and just see how it goes. So far we've been using it pretty hard around here, pushing it a little hard, using the engine brake a lot, just kind of making sure all systems are good before we head south. And everything seems to be working great, so we're real happy with the paint job. I mean, it's really dirty right now, but we'll get it painted we'll get it washed and waxed. Is it wax on, wax off, or wax on? I don't know. Either way, we'll get it washed and waxed before we go, so it doesn't look quite so Central Maine-ish, but that's it. So, you know, that gets you up to speed there, kind of gives you an idea of what we've been doing this summer. We've been enjoying Maine. We've been getting a lot done. It's been a really wet summer. Everything's been wet, you know, dreary. This is like one of the 5 sunny days we've had all summer. So we're actually going to take tomorrow off. We're going to go do a big wheeling trip with some friends and have a little fun with that. And then after that, we're going to be getting ready to go south. So look forward to our next video. We'll try to release it like next week, I think, or later this week. And we'll explain what our plans are with Florida and beyond, because we've got some pretty exciting plans for you guys coming up after we leave Florida next spring. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.